Any questions, comments, discussion on those minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so the next item is the staff report on the wall signs, applications approved since the last meeting.
Okay, we had a few this past 30 days. Got a nail spa. I already have a nail spa. It's up there near the Publix in that shopping center area. It's just a basic wall sign. I did a pretty good job with it. Wallace Real Estate is another one that's out on the east end of town on Kingston Pike. We also have a ground sign for them on the agenda for tonight, so this is their wall sign. There it is on the building, or what it'll look like on the building. And again, you know, we figured the size of signs by the frontage, you know, the linear frontage of the building, so we usually have to get that dimension as part of the sign permit. Peppo's Burrito Bar has also got a ground sign, a tenant panel application on the agenda for tonight, but this is their wall sign. It's up on Parkside. And then this is over next to Kohl's. Sort of a unique one. For a while, we were having all the signs in that area. You know, those signs have been migrating to a common color scheme. This is going to be a new one over there, sort of right next to the Kohl's there to the left. Does anyone have any questions on those, or?
All right, hearing none, we'll move down to ground-mounted sign application. So the first one is what you just mentioned, the Peppo's Burrito Bar, located at 11683 Parkside Drive.
It's a large but simple tenant panel sign. They obviously got top billing on that sign, so it's clearly legible. So I don't think that's an issue. It's consistent with the other signs on there. The landscaping is going to have to be put back in. We contacted them, and they put us in touch with the owner/manager of that portion of the shopping center out there. And
Who is it at that location?
you know, I can't remember their name off the top of my head.
The Hatcher Hill, right there?
Could be. It sounds familiar. I was in touch with somebody from there and let them know they just need to go back in and basically reestablish the minimum landscaping right there around the sign, which is either 6 shrubs or a mixture of shrubs and some perennial flowers. So that's something we'll monitor, and if it doesn't get done, we'll reach back out to them and get that done.
How did they rate that amount of a sign? Is
You
that
know,
y'all?
I mean, that's between them and the landlord. You know,
Yeah,
they must have,
It's true.
whatever they. I'm sure it was part of their leasing agreement or something. So.
Or when they install the landscaping back, do they have to go back to the original approved landscaping and install
No,
it?
as long as it's compliant, so, we'll ask them to let us know what they're gonna put in there, make sure there's no invasive species being put in, but,
Mhm.
and being how low that sign is, it's essentially at grade, they're gonna have to be careful what they
Right.
plant in there so that it doesn't grow up and block the sign. So it's probably gonna have to be something that's, very low to the ground and spreading, as opposed to anything that's to be vertical. Or, they might be able to put things at either end of the sign, because they don't have to put it all the way around. They just have to be within 7 feet of the sign base. So, but that is something we reached out to the, them and the complex manager to, get that reestablished.
All right. Any other questions or comments on this one? All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving down now to the Walgreens store located at 11927 Kingston Pike.
Okay. This is, really just a basic reface of the sign, there. They're taking some of that, Kroger stuff where they were, sort of partnered up with Kroger. They seem to be moving away from that, or at least taking it off their sign, so, this is a replacement sign. I had reached out to them asking for some updates for the plans, and they must have misunderstood, because they, their response was in text form. It was almost like a site plan review response. They, on the letter, they just responded how they were going to fix it, and I explained to them that I needed the updates actually on the physical plans. So they're in the process of doing that. Everything appears to be compliant, but I do need to recommend it subject to them adding the setback dimensions to the site plan layout, adding the overall sign height there from the grade up, so total sign height, and then just putting a note on the plan somewhere that it's internally lit. So, that's an idea of where it's located. It's the E01 sign there at the corner of Smith Road and Kingston Pike. It was originally permitted some time ago. All the setbacks are fine. They just need to get them on the plan. So, or put it on this plan. They had turned in some directional signs, but they never installed them initially, and so they're not going to put those in. They're just going to leave them off. So, subject to those three items, staff can recommend approval of that.
All right, any questions or comments about the Walgreens ground-mounted sign change? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
Motion to approve, subject, with the three subject twos.
We have a motion approved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we got a couple of seconds. Pick one.
Okay.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I went with the loudest.
All right, number 3 on the agenda is Wallace Real Estate located at 10815 Kingston Pike.
This again is a reface to the Wallace Real Estate sign from an existing sign structure that's already out there. They're totally compliant. They made all the changes that I had asked them to prior to the meeting. So the sign company added a few extra dimensions to this plan, the total height and that sort of thing. They are going to have to establish some landscaping. What's shown here is not actually in place. So they're going to have to go back in and add in the minimum number of shrubs. So here's their landscape plan. It also shows their setback from the property line for the sign. It's not a very large sign.
Is it lit?
And yeah, it's internally lit. You can see there they've got it, the note down there below.
Okay, yeah.
Staff can just recommend approval of this as submitted.
All right, any questions or comments on Wallace Real Estate? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
A motion approved. We have a second.
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll move down to the landscape plan applications. The first one on the agenda is the Gordon Farragut Medical Office Building, located on parcel 1.14 tax map 143H, Group A.
Yeah, this is over, it's access via there's a private access easement that runs back in there between, back from Kingston Pike. There's a number of businesses there that run on Kingston Pike, and this runs behind it. And then there's a few businesses that are accessed solely by this.
Over where Wendy's is, that little back street?
Yeah, but,
Further down.
it's a little bit, east of where the Wendy's
Okay.
is. Back in
And
behind
On the
there.
center that has
Yeah.
Jets Pizza in it
Yeah, yeah, back behind there.
and
Or,
UPS
yeah.
store
Oh,
and,
well, that's
and all that.
And this site is just to the east of Kitty Cottage and just to the west of the dentist's office, which has, that's,
And backs up to the subdivision.
yeah. So, it's vacant right now, so they're building this on the site. The site plan's been reviewed by the planning commission, so they've been working on this to get this in, to get this, and that's kind of reversed, but, so you can see there, the access is actually gonna be, solely off of that easement. There's a required buffer between them and the subdivision and the adjoining street, there to the south. So, all of their access is gonna be on that private access easement in and out. The landscaping is compliant in terms of what they have planted. There were a few editorial things that need to be changed on the plan that, they had to make some changes to this plan, and make a couple of corrections. And there were a few things that were corrected in one of the plant tables, but didn't get picked up on the second table. So, a few editorial changes. They need to update, the plant key that's on sheet L100 to match the changes that were made to the plant schedule on sheet L201. I need to list the replacement tree planting requirements separately on L100, and that's because our standards are independent, so, you know, the trees that are required for, you know, the impervious surfaces and the improved surfaces on the site, the shade trees, are separate and apart from trees that may be required as replacement trees or around a detention basin. So we need them kind of separated out so we can account for them properly. But again, that's just, you know, that's just a notation in the thing. And then they put a note in there about the landscaping around the signage that it doesn't match our standards. They'll have more than enough. They'll obviously have to apply for that sign separately as a sign permit, but I just wanted to get the note corrected on this plan too, so there's no confusion down the way. So you can see there trees on the access area that's up here. I'm just gonna use this laser pointer up here. So here's the access here and here. They're utilizing 2 access points because their dumpster is here, and it's going to make it easier to get at that. So they have trees in this island, and then trees here, and then also in all of these islands within the parking lot. This is the buffer area that I was talking about, and then I guess that's Roan Street, and then the subdivision back in behind here. So this buffer is just a requirement that they had to maintain. And, you know, subject to those, you know, those editorial changes on the plan tables, and correcting that one note regarding the signage, landscaping, staff can recommend approval of it.
You've chatted with them?
I haven't chatted with them about those 3 things. I had sent them you know, like a review letter, and they made the changes, but, you know, when in the process of making the changes they had to make, they just missed those, you know, those couple little things, so.
We have a representative, probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
If you would just let us know who you are, please.
Yes, Mark Randolph, Randolph Architecture.
Okay.
And so, as Bart was indicating, those 3 items, we would take care of those, and our landscape architect, Philip, he will modify those on the drawings, and they'll be part of the submission for the permit, as well as we can submit them to BART and others as necessary. So we don't have any issues or problems accommodating those three requests.
Okay, so we'll have you in front of us again on a sign? Ground mount
Yes.
sign? Okay.
Yes. We're just not quite sure of the colors and the format of the signage, so we haven't been able to get that far with the owner to get his approval and thoughts to get the signage. But yes, we do understand that that will be separate and at a later date.
And the proposed location right now for that is right here. It's this V-shaped structure. Be up in there. Are you proposing wall signage as well?
That's all I had. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Can we approve it with the,
Yeah, subject to those,
Yeah.
those three things being corrected on
then
on
I'll make a
the
motion
sheets.
to approve with the subject twos.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on down, we have the LCUB Concord substation that's proposed for 1053 Concord Road.
Okay. This is a landscape plan for the proposed substation. Again, it's been reviewed by the Planning Commission. This is actually the second time you've seen this site. The VRRB originally approved the landscape plan for this site in October. And at that time, they were proposing access to the site from another private access easement that is up here on the north side of the site. The sewage treatment plant is back here, and this access road is actually not an open public road. It's used by the public, but it's not a town street.
Who maintains that road, just out of curiosity?
You know, it's a privately maintained thing, so I would say probably, the utility in conjunction with, the controlling parties on it.
Okay.
Property owners. I know the memory care facility also accesses it, but this facility was not able to work out in agreement with the property owner that the access easement crosses for them to access off of it. So because of that, they had to abandon their original plan to access here and switch to accessing down off Concord Road. So that necessitated them changing their original landscape plan and site plan. So this revised layout from a site plan standpoint has been approved by the Planning Commission. So now they're updating the landscape plan to go along with that. It's a really good plan. It more than meets our standards for approval, and all the correct information is on the plan. It's fairly extensive, and this stormwater area is also a bioretention area. So some of the plantings are kind of unique to that type of use. They have to use, the right species to accomplish what they want in terms of bioretention, and also, survivability of the species. So, the landscape architect of this plan did a really good job. He did a great job on the first one as well, but he had to go back and totally revise it.
No issues with the height, because that's a right in, right out?
No, they're okay.
Okay.
So on that, talking about, it's hard to read the plans, of course, but what's up next to Concord Road? The the plant material that's gonna be there will not obstruct views in any way. I know there's a visibility triangle, but that's a
Yeah.
busy stretch through there.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay in there. You know, because it's set back a little bit from the road because you got the trail that runs through there.
No, that's right,
So
yeah.
it's not
Okay.
right up, it's not right up against the curb line.
Okay,
You know, there's
all
a,
right.
you know, there's a space in between there.
There's a grass strip too, so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Okay.
it's not like they're planting right up to the edge of the road.
Okay, good, good.
You know, there's, you know, some existing vegetation in here down through there that's gonna remain, and then they're doing some additional planting as well back along the facility.
and you're primarily gonna have trucks going in and out there anyway, which I'll sit up pretty high, so.
Yeah, and I don't imagine there's traffic going in and out there all the time. It's really just for going in and servicing the substation, so it's not really a traffic generator. But we were very impressed with the first plan, and, you know, you could see the elaborate sort of, planting schedule they have to do for the bioretention areas. They have to have, you know, larger plants, seeding, you know, what type of seeds they're gonna put in, the meadow type, plantings they're gonna do, so it's a pretty interesting landscape plan to sit down and really look at.
Is it essentially the same plan as before? I mean, I know the access is different, but.
It's similar. I mean, you know, the first plan was probably a little more interesting because they had landscaping at both ends, and on the southern end there, they were, you know, planning to put a meadow in along with some of the drainage. Here, you know, because they had to abandon that, it impacted those features, but
Right,
it's still,
okay.
it's still a really nice landscaping plan for a substation.
Have any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
All motion for approval.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So that was the last item on the agenda, Bart. Is there anything else you need to communicate with us tonight while we're here?
No, that's probably it for now. We're working a little on the landscaping ordinance, and you know, but we're nowhere near ready to, you know, to bring that in for y'all to start looking at. Just making some changes and sort of reorganizing it a bit. But you know, that's a project that's been on our work program for a while, and we're just, you know, trying to chip away at that and get that done. But, you know, that's something you'll see, you know, hopefully in the, you know, maybe in a couple months.
All right. Well, if that's it, meeting adjourned. We'll see you guys next month.